Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have, as usual, folks, a great show for you today. We are full of clips because, man, it was a weekend, and it seems like one of those weekends when you spent all of your time trying to write some stuff, trying to do some stuff, and then what happens? The news keeps happening. And you know what we do? We go ahead and we aggregate that stuff for you, man. Anyhow, we're going to get started right now, and where do I want to start? I want to start on a bad thing. I want to start on a bad thing, and I need to bring it up here before I put it up on the screen because, look, when something keeps happening over and over again, and it doesn't seem, the country is going through all kinds of protesting, etc., etc. Can you hear me? Yeah, I think the sound is on. I can see that I'm transmitting. Anybody else have any sound problem? Yeah, we'll see if that gets fixed, but that should be fine. Anyhow, we are. It is interesting because when things starts to happen over and over and over and over again, you start to really wonder what the hell is going on. There are protests. There are all these things. I had to decide whether to show you this or not. I had to decide whether to show you this or not. And I decided, you know what? I am going to do it because people need to see certain things. So I'm going to play it, but I'm doing it with a very heavy heart. It's a very short clip, and I need you to see this. And then we'll take it on the other side. Well, actually, I don't have to take it on the other side because I'm not going away. Let's go ahead and put that on the screen. Let me make it a little bigger. And for those of you that are listening on podcast, let me tell you what I'm showing right now on podcast. Welcome aboard, Robbie. Welcome aboard, Rose, Brige MCP, and I think I saw our AVQ, D Rabbit White, and Michael Rudnin. Welcome aboard, my brothers. Check this out. I don't know how many of you have seen it yet, but I need you to see this. Come on, where are you? There you are. Okay.
Wow.
I am still, last night, one of our listeners, one of you guys, sent me a tweet with this clip. And, you know, I was just about finishing up a whole lot of what I was doing. And when she sent it, I went ahead and looked at it and I thought, wait a minute, this couldn't just happen now. They couldn't shoot a black man going into a car while several of them are following him with guns pulled. They couldn't be doing this in August of 2020. They could not have been doing that. So I went ahead and I scoured the internet. I said, let me see if this is recent or not. This couldn't be recent. Then I saw the story coming up in some of the local papers. It hadn't hit New York Times yet or any of those guys. And then I saw the thing and it's like, what is it going to take, folks? What is it within these? Look, let's be honest here. For what's going on to occur, And for these guys to still get blown up. Yes, I've read the entire story. I've read the entire story. And he did not deserve 7 bullets in his back. I have seen white people running around being arrested, throwing bottles, holding up broken bottles as a weapon to police officers, and they were tased, they were held down. I've seen one incident took over 2 hours to resolve. It's somewhere on my website as well, where these guys kicked the police, punched the police, knifed the police, and they were restrained. They were restrained. I've seen it. I've seen this. How people tell me, and I want all of you that are listening to me and those of you that are listening on, that have heard of it, that's listening on podcasts, etc. Please tell me, how do you put 7 bullets into the back of somebody if you consider that person a human being of equal value in life to yours? You can't do it. You can only do that if you consider that which you are shooting less than an animal. And the truth of the matter is, most people in America treat their dogs, their pets, better than police officers treat people of color. But then again, we have to remember that police officers are nothing but the reflection of society with a weapon. With the right to use a weapon and claim I felt my life in danger and no repercussions thereafter. We have to change society. But we have to have laws. Before society can change, we have to have laws that force the issue before we change people's hearts. If you read my new book, I talk about my homophobia. And the reason I keep bringing that up for the new people that are here, is I understand the mental change and the change of the heart. And in America, we need them both. That guy on my page who said one less, he should have just abide by the cops. One, and then after he tried to first give a justification, if he had just acquiesced, I better not say acquiesced because Arab is going to get on my case. If he had just obeyed the police and done what the police said, then they would not have had to shoot him in the back. Well, Philando Castile did that. He still got shot, right? It's a deal that when these officers are in their mode, they do. And by the way, I'm not even putting this on white officers only. Black officers are just as bad and sometimes worse. So this is a police thing, and who do we give value to? And even black police officers look and gradate their value. They decide who's, like I tell people a lot of times, police officers, you have to be a special person to be a police officer. There are a small percentage that I've noticed that are darn good officers of the court. They really want to be police officers. They really want to be good. They want to serve the people. But the vast majority is to see, my thing is bigger than yours, and I got a gun, and I can dominate you. A lot of times, just check out how they treat their wives. Same way. If you notice the one who had his neck down on George Floyd, remember that his wife left him right away when she felt safe. Look. So, there's a certain mindset that goes into many police officers. I want to be of dominion over you. I want to be able to be of dominion over you. And that mentality. But they also know that in as much as they want to dominate others, there are some that they cannot dominate in such a manner without running the risk of ending their freedoms. But they know, because you guys out there, and I'm not talking about my listeners are great, grandiose people, but they know one thing. They know that the population at large, when they see a black man murder, when they see a dark Latino murdered or whatever, they know that 9 out of 10, 95 out of 100, or rather 99 out of 100, that they're going to walk, because they're going to say, according to the code, I felt my life in danger and I acted appropriately. Well, it took yet another death for the governor of Wisconsin to call the Congress in to say, let's make some modification to stop giving police officers free will to murder. It took another black man's murder for them to say, oh my God, this stuff must be real. Let's do something before this damn place blow up. Let's people understand. This is us. That cop is a representation of you. That cop is a representation of you. I'm not talking on a personal level. I'm saying, you know people who say the kinds of things that that cop can actually act on. You know people that hear that cop, that have those thoughts, until we confront that unequivocally. Until we do that, this stuff is going to continue. Now, again, I'm going to tell you about myself now as a black man. Soy un negro latino caribeño. A black Latin Caribbean guy. I feel all those pressures of culture, of who I am, when I go out there and have to face law enforcement. I tell you, I feel every single bit of it. And every person who is sensible, who looks like me, little tone darker, a little tone lighter, feels the way I feel. But we go out and we smile. We go out and we live, because you can't live in a forever state of this. Okay? Now, until these kinds of things change, we're here. Anyhow, I wanted to bring this story first because I wanted to get this out. This has been on my mind. I went to sleep on this last night when one of our people sent this over to me. I wanted to get it off of my mind. All right, let's get with the show now. Now that is, we need to get rid of qualified immunity. You're absolutely right, Brige. Absolutely right, Brige. Absolutely right. Okay. Calming down. Let's go ahead and get started. What is the show really about today? What are we going to be talking about today? Let's get to the show. Actually, let me put that back on the screen. Although podcast guys, let's see. Egberto won't be looking at the details of the perp. It doesn't serve the narrative. Listen, it doesn't, again, Lee Grant, 9 bullets in the back, or rather 7 bullets in the back. Lee, if you can't see that, I'm concerned about you. The thing about it is too many of us are colored by who is the victim. Too many of us are colored in thought and in empathy by the color of the victim, by who the victim is. Put everything on a perp completely on a white, blonde, blue-eyed young girl. And tell me you feel the same way if a cop acted that way. I'm pretty sure you would not. And for those, I want to get something, and I put this in one of the essays in my book. And please, folks, you should get my book. I'm not only saying this for the sake of, I want to sell a whole ton of my books, but I'm going to tell you one of the other reasons. I have stories including stuff of the police, including some preconceived notions that people have. And here's one of the things that I say in that book. I say, all these people have the notion or try to give the effect that somehow black folks are so dangerous. Black men especially are so dangerous that we have to do this. Oh, you go into the ghettos or whatever and you see they're killing themselves and it's black. Yeah, but it's themselves, But if you take a look at history, it's not black folk that ever needs to be feared. It's other folk that need to be feared. How have black men allowed themselves to be slaves for so long, to be whipped for so long, to be gunned down for so long, and you fear them? And they've accepted all of that over the decades? Read the essay that I write about that in my book. It's worth it. And by the way, since I'm putting a plug for my book, might as well I go ahead and add that link right now. But I tell you, we have been and by the way, I'm not holding any of this on anybody who have these other thoughts, because I want you that have these thoughts that differ from mine. I want you to actually have the freedom to put them in the feed and not feel judged. I will contest you, but I won't judge you, because I know that you are impacted, you're influenced by the reality of America. I understand that. And because I understand that, one of the things that I want out of this show, that I put in my book as well, is creating that understanding. You have been indoctrinated into thinking about so many things. And not only you. When I say you, I'm not only talking about white people, I'm talking about black people too. There are a lot of black people that fear black people. Ask Jesse Jackson. He made a silly statement once about 30 years ago that I won't go into the statement right now. But so what I'm saying, we have been indoctrinated about fear. We have been indoctrinated about intellect. We have been indoctrinated about so much. And it was all to control not only black folk, not only Latinos, but also you. Because if we gradate people, if we put people in different levels, we will always control you, because we have all of you fearing each other, so that you don't see who's really screwing you, the guys on top. And the guys on top ain't all white. It is a system that uses racism as a tool. I want you guys to understand that. All of you that are following my show right now, I really need you to understand that. We are all being played, but you have to understand the technicalities between what is actually getting done. Anyway, go pick up my book, folks. Here's the book. I just put the link in the feed. Anyhow, let's go with the show. Para ver, vamos a comenzar con el trabajo de hacer mi show. Comenzando. Here we go. This is how we defeat Donald Trump, our incompetent, lying commander-in-chief. Today, we are mostly Trump. We talk about how to ensure we protect the country from him by ensuring he is not reelected. He is an evil man taking America towards fascism. The police, well, I talked about that first item. So anyway, the items we're talking about. Chuck Todd scorches president on the president's own terms. Trump's sister calls him out as a liar, and one got another to take tests to get him into college. Chuck Todd confronts Trump's Spox with all the convicts that worked for him in his administration. Anthony Scaramucci, former communications director, makes it clear serious Republicans working to ensure Trump not elected. Speaker Nancy Pelosi wants Americans and the media to ignore the president and just go vote. Postmaster General embarrasses Republican congressmen Nicolle Wallace and John Hellman on how to stop Trump from stealing the election. Reverend Barber has a message for the Democratic Party. Too many Republicans have been convinced into the belief, man, I got some typos in there, into believing the COVID-19 death rate is okay. And this is the pro-life party? All right, let's start. First video commencing, my brothers and my sisters. This one is Chuck Todd scorches. Chuck Todd scorches. Here we go. Chuck Todd called out the president on several topics that needed to have been done in a cohesive, coherent method, as he did it here for a long time. I mean, they've touched on these things here and there, but they've never done it in a very concise manner like this. Check this out, and let's take it on the other side.
As he prepares to fight for another term at his convention this week, the president is escalating his assault on Biden, who he has struggled to effectively attack.
I'm the only thing standing between the American dream and total anarchy, madness, and chaos.
It is a darker version of a line from 4 years ago.
Nobody knows the system better than me, which is why I alone can fix it.
But can the president make the case the election is a choice rather than a referendum on his own presidency?
If you want a vision of your life under Biden presidency, think of the smoldering ruins in Minneapolis, the violent anarchy of Portland, the bloodstained sidewalks of Chicago.
But Mr. Trump is president, and those images have happened on his watch. But Mr. Trump is president, and those images have happened on his watch. More than 70% of Americans say the country is on the wrong track. The Trump campaign has also struggled to come up with a tone and a message to counter Democrats' focus on the pandemic.
Donald Trump hasn't grown into the job because he can't. And the consequences of that failure are severe.
After all this time, the president still does not have a plan. Well, I do.
This week, the optics of the virus may be challenging as the president tries to draw a crowd with an audience on the White House South Lawn for his speech. And President Trump appears to be growing more agitated.
If we don't win, it's all gone, okay? It's all gone.
Attacking the post office and escalating his attacks on mail-in voting.
I don't like this mail-in ballot deal.
Threatening to use law enforcement at the polls, something he can't legally do.
We're going to have sheriffs, and we're going to have law enforcement, and we're going to have, hopefully, U.S. attorneys, and we're going to have everybody and attorney generals.
And embracing QAnon, a conspiracy theory the FBI has called a domestic terror threat.
Well, I don't know much about the movement other than I understand they like me very much, which I appreciate. I've heard these are people that love our country.
Big mistake. This is a group of nuts and kooks, and he ought to disavow them.
Now that is the person calling themselves President of the United States. And I think what Chuck Todd did very well is he characterized the president as an unhinged liar who made a claim on economy and make a claim of what would happen if he is dethroned. But the interesting thing is all the bad things that are happening during his administration. So based on his own tenets, he should be the one dethroned. So basically, I think Chuck Todd did a good job in enumerating these issues. There are a lot more. I mean, and they brought some more up in the thing where his sister has been speaking about how he paid to get his test done. His sister has been talking about him being a liar. I mean, I think all these things, if people listen to this and they still cannot see that somehow this guy doesn't belong, the term willful ignorance takes on new meaning. And as I said, his sister had something to say when she was talking to Mary, his niece. Check this out. Well, the spears are finally coming in. It's finally catching up on Donald Trump. Check out what his sister had to say, and then let's take it on the other side.
In audio tapes given to the Washington Post by the president's niece, Mary Trump, you hear the president's sister, retired federal judge Mary Ann Trump, lashing out at her brother, calling him cruel, a man with no principles, delivering harsh judgments on his conduct in office.
Tweet and the line, oh my God, I'm talking too freely, but you know, the change of stories, the lack of preparation, the lying.
The president's sister also claims that he paid someone, a man named Joe Shapiro, to take his entrance exams to the University of Pennsylvania. Let's listen.
And he went to Fordham for 1 year, and then he got into University of Pennsylvania. I guess he had somebody take the exams. No way. He had somebody take his entrance exams? SATs or whatever. Yeah. Oh, Jesus. You're kidding.
Now, if you believe that the president is this great businessman, if you believe that the president is so intelligent and that's the reason that you're voting for him, and his own sister comes out and tells the truth about him being a liar, and his sister goes out and also tells you that he cheated to get into college, and you still support this guy, then the question that you have to ask yourself is, why is it that you're really voting for this guy? It likely has nothing to do with this guy, but it has more to do with something else. And what is it? Now, what's on the screen there is in the previous segment, we spoke about him supporting QAnon. And I just noticed that Michael Rundin put in there, is QAnon being looked at as a national threat? I think the FBI is, in fact, considering it a national threat, but it's not only that. Look at how Republicans are characterizing it, and this indirectly is characterizing the president. So we are seeing the tentacles of all these tepid responses to the president going into a manner that says we are going to knock this guy off. Representative Liz Cheney, dangerous lunacy. Senator Ben Sasse, garbage. Representative Adam Kissinger, complete BS. Former Governor Jeb Bush, nut jobs. That is how they're characterizing what the president believes in. So what we do know, is that we're starting to get some cracks in the entire system, which is something that, I think we kind of expected and need, and they are coming sort of just their opportune time. All right, let's go ahead. Chuck Todd had a piece that now we talk about the president kind of palling around with criminals. Remember they used to, remember the Tea Party used to talk about, is Barack Obama palling around with terrorists and all that sort of stuff? Well, who's the president palling around with? Let's kind of check that out, okay? Wasn't Donald Trump supposed to come in and drain the swamp? I think that's what he said he was going to do. But as it turns out, that's not what he did at all. And the good thing about it is the mainstream media is starting to call him out. And I think what Chuck Todd did here kind of blindsided the guy a bit, but he did it.
Quite a few people who were involved in the Trump campaign in 2016 have had some issues with the law, indictments, convictions. You know some of these folks you worked with quite closely: Steve Bannon, Michael Flynn, George Papadopoulos, Paul Manafort, Rick Gates, Michael Cohen, Roger Stone, all people involved with this 26 campaign team in some way or the other found themselves on the wrong side of the law. Why shouldn't voters look at this and say the president seems to surround himself with people with shady instincts?
I disagree on that. I think you take a look at the great people that President Trump has surrounded himself with, some of the brilliant women and some of the brilliant leaders that we have within this administration, some of our cabinet members. And I would say that overall, the president's had a very good track record of hiring excellent people. There are a number of folks on the list that you pointed out there, Chuck, who have made some serious mistakes in their life. They had nothing to do with President Trump, and they're going to have to be accountable for all of that. But when you take a look at the president and the people that he's brought on board, I take a look at his senior staff there at the White House, whether it be Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, whether it be Kellyanne Conway. I look at people like Jerron Smith and Stephen Miller. These are some really solid people who I think work very hard for the American people every day. I'm proud to call them teammates in this broader pro-Trump effort, and I think the president is proud of them as well.
You know what is great with the Trump administration? They can look at facts staring at you. They can look at reality staring at you. And at the same time, with a straight face, come out with an alternate state of reality. Yeah, the administration is big, but when you have all your high-level people convicted, indicted, or on appeal, you have to be concerned, and it's pretty darn evident that it's not the swamp that you've cleaned, but the swamp cleaned you. You know, it's going to be interesting when the Cohen book comes out officially. I don't remember the date that it's going to drop, but I think it's going to pull a whole lot of skeletons out of the closet. And I'm going to tell you guys something. I was about to blog something last night about what's the name of the guy who runs Liberty University? Forgot the name of the guy who ran. Anyhow, he's one of the It's a big supporter of Donald Trump. Apparently, they have some interesting issues with a pool boy and that family. I think it's with the wife, but who knows if that's just the cover? We don't know. But Falwell, with Mr. Falwell. So I'm probably going to, I didn't blog it last night because I didn't do enough research. Thank you for it, Rose. I didn't do enough research last night. And I didn't want to just pull out the salacious stuff and throw it out there. I wanted to know that what I was talking about was not just a topical piece, but it's deep. But it seems like it has some intertwining with Brother Cohen, Trump's former fixer who's in jail. We'll see what's going on. But anyhow, it was interesting because Anthony Scaramucci, I love what he just recently did. I think this is a piece that I'm supposed to play right now. Yeah, Scaramucci. Check this out. This is probably one of the worst indictments on the president. Go ahead and let's move on. When your former spokesperson speaks about you this way, I think you have a problem, don't you?
I tried to help the president. I'm a lifelong Republican. When I got asked to serve the country, I tried to serve the country. I made a mistake, which I got fired for. I'm fully accountable for that mistake. I then tried to stay loyal, Alex, to the president for 2 years. but he does things that are unpatriotic. He does things that are un-American. He is a morose bully, and he's bad on policy. He's failed us on the healthcare crisis. He's destroyed the economy through his decisions related to COVID-19. And so there's a whole litany of things that he's done. And now this mushroom of information is going to be coming up over the next 2 to 3 months. And the country's going to be better off without him. And so he will be defeated in November. And remember, he's got a very different situation now. He's got a very large group of Republicans. Some of the esteemed ones that you showed prior to that last commercial break are not with him. And he doesn't have any of the, what I would say, rank and file people that have been the core mission, core muscle of the Republican Party. And so, as Steve Bannon said, he said 3 to 5% of those Republicans, if they're hived off, he's going to lose. And so that's what we're working on. We'll be working on that over the next 75 days.
Now think about that. We'll be working against the president. All these Republicans working against the president over the next 75 days. Folks, this is one thing. We can't pull defeat out of victory here. We've got to. I guess I went ahead and cut that one a little bit too short, but that's okay. I was almost done with it anyway. But here's a kicker. Nancy Pelosi had an interview. I think it was Saturday that I taped this one. Saturday or Sunday. I'm not sure which one it is. And Nancy Pelosi had the president's statement, and it looks like it's going to be over and over again. Let me go ahead and put that out there, and then I'll take it on the other side. Let's say, Berta, why do you like front stabber over here? Front stabber, front stabber. You got to help me out, Rudnan. I don't know exactly what that means. I should know what that means, shouldn't I? Explain. All right, let's go ahead and listen to Nancy.
In terms of voting, look, don't pay any attention to what the president is saying, because it is all designed to suppress the vote. He's going to have law enforcement. That's in their playbook. We've seen their playbook. It's in their playbook that they'll have people intimidated to vote by having ICE agents or other law enforcement there to instill fear in people as they show up. Why are they here? It's scary. But ignore that. It's a suppress the vote tactic, as is the suppressing of the ability of the postal system to deliver on its responsibility, to treat first-class ballots as first-class mail and to deliver in a timely fashion and not ignore the need for overtime, not ignore the fact that so many members of the Postal Service have contracted coronavirus, so need for temporary employees to fill that in. He said very blatantly, I have no intention of replacing those mailboxes. I have no intention of replacing the sorting machinery. So all I would say to the final part of your question is ignore them, make a plan to vote, do so to vote early so that we will have an outcome that is clear, as close to election night as possible. I say that because the more that vote by mail, there may be some counting after the election, but I hope that our victory will be so big. It'll be so big that it'll be so clear. And by the way, from the standpoint of the House, it is my political goal to win so big that we are putting down the down payment of winning for 2 years from now.
There you go. Oh, I get what you're saying now, Rudnan. I get what you said. And by the way, I saw that little image that you put up there as well. Yeah, wrong turn, brother. Anyhow, welcome aboard, Bruce Pollard as well, and ¿Qué pasa, hermano mío, Dimitri OG? Welcome aboard, brother. Anyhow, so that was Nancy Pelosi saying, to hell with all the stops that they're putting. We are going to defeat Donald Trump no matter what. Don't allow them to use smoke and mirrors to not have you vote or to make you fearful of voting, putting cops out. None of that's gone. Let none of that happen. This is a time that is existential for our democracy. So therefore, let absolutely nothing stop you. And as Bruce would say, vote early. Vote early. He comes on and say it all the time. Bruce, why haven't you said it yet, brother? You just came on, but I haven't heard you say it yet, brother. Anyhow, let's go ahead and talk about this postmaster, because the postmaster did something today. he sort of embarrassed another Republican. You know, Republicans have gone off the Republican politicians I'm talking about, not my Republican friends, my Republican politicians, have gone off the reel when even the guy that is helping you screw the election up and helping you privatize the post office go against the crap that you're doing. I mean, that is just amazing. Check this out. This happened today. I just taped this a few hours ago. Check this out.
Mr. Joy, thank you very much for coming today. And I want to clear up some obvious political disinformation that the majority is actually putting out. And then I also want to say thank you very much for acknowledgement of the dip in services, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. On Saturday on the House floor, my colleague said the post office is on the verge of collapse. But that's not true. You have over $10 billion cash on hand and access to a $10 billion line of credit, which makes you fiscally viable through August of 2021. Is that true, Mr. DeJoy?
Yes, but I would say that only in Washington, D.C. would that be a good position to be in when I have $135 billion in liabilities, a $2.5 billion a month, a week, biweekly payroll, and a whole bunch of others. But yes, we can get through the election, and with the loan, should we take it? I don't know how we would pay it back, but should we take it? We should be fine for through mid 21.
Now, if that isn't a takedown, I mean, you have to see what happened there. The guy, all the Republicans, and I wrote a blog about this that I don't have here. I just played the video. But the whole idea behind this whole thing, right, is that the Republicans decided to use this hearing to say the reason the post mail is being slowed down is the anarchy that is occurring in the cities. What's kind of interesting is what they're calling anarchy. You know, it's really protests. These are protests in distinct cities. You know, Philadelphia, Portland, Houston, all these other places that have had protests. And June is when all this slowdown starts. What happened in June is when he put in his new policies to take machines out, to remove overtime, all that sort of stuff. That's when he took his policies out. That's when we had a complete drop in the reliability of the mail system. So he did it. Now, the Republicans don't want to acknowledge that, right? So they come out and they say, oh, it's a protest, it's all of that. And they're trying to push, if you hear the questions that they were asking, they were trying to push lies out there to kind of make the president look like, this is, his choice was a good choice, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we know what he's there for. And like I wrote in the blog, his purpose were twofold. The first part of his purpose was to go ahead and slow down the mail, to make the mail look completely unreliable. If it looks unreliable, people either don't use the mail to vote, go out there, and then they have other suppression methods if you go out there to pretty much disenfranchise you by making it very difficult for you to vote. So this is very well orchestrated, and all they're looking for is 2-3 points, right? And you can get 2-3 points by doing things like that. That is what happened in Michigan. That's what happened in Wisconsin. That's what happened in Pennsylvania. Now, actually, we have on tape one of the senators in Pennsylvania saying, our goal is to not have these people vote, to suppress the vote. He actually said it at a Republican meeting that was actually being taped. Okay, so we know that is a fact. But this guy's there to help you out. But you say something so silly. In as much as he's trying to help you out, he needs his money. He needs to pay his employees. He needs to keep things running. You guys have asked him to pay 75 years of pension on your employees, and that is why it seems like the post office has a budget deficit. The post office is efficient. The post office also is cash flow positive. Okay? Let's be clear. The post office is cash flow positive. Now, that said, the Congress is the Republican Congress then was trying to force the post office to go into sort of like a quasi-bankruptcy to give some sort of ability to privatize many portions of it. But here's the kicker. 50 cents or whatever it costs you to send a first-class mail, any part of America, Alaska, Puerto Rico, anywhere, 50 cents, okay? None of the private services will do it for you under $5. $5 local and much more. None of them will do that for you. Also, every place that they deem not profitable in Timbuktu, North Dakota, Timbuktu, South Dakota, Timbuktu, wherever in this country, FedEx and UPS and DHL, those guys don't go there. Guess what they do? They use the good old post office that everybody wants to down because they keep rates cheap so that everybody has equal access to mail to any part of this United States of America. It's a service. It's not a profit center. It's a service. It's not a profit center. But if you allow these people to, and that's the one thing that I constantly want Nancy Pelosi to say much better. If you keep saying things like, it's not run like a business, or it's not intended to run like a business. It's not intended to make a profit. It's intended to to turn everything back into the system. And in fact, if it needs subsidies, it should get subsidies, because we want those people in rural America who things would be much more expensive to sell elsewhere easily. Yeah, Redden, I'll see if I can get. Actually, I'll as we speak here, I'm going to find that article for you, because I want you to. I think you're talking about the article, cash flow. I'll find that one for you. I don't have that one with me right now. But anyhow, so that is important for us to know, brothers and sisters. That's important for us to know. Our rural brothers and sisters, many of them who are Trump supporters, that is one way that we can actually get to them. These people are so evil in privatizing, and show them the rates. Go ahead and show them the FedEx rates, the UPS rates, and all of that for sending just a piece of mail, a piece of paper. What does it cost to get it from your house to your tax office? Let's let people see those things. And let them see when Donald Trump says, we need to privatize, or they need to raise their prices. Lately, he's been saying what we need to do is we need to allow Amazon to pay more for the services. If Amazon pays more for shipping, he is taxing you, because you're going to pay that extra fee in shippings. And guess where that extra money for shipping goes? The private company that's doing that, it goes into the shareholders' pocket. So when they tell you, I want you guys to understand the flow of money, my brothers and my sisters. You have to understand the flow of money. When they tell you, I want to raise the price of these envelopes, etc., the reason they're doing that is the following. As they raise the prices of the product, they can then say, okay, instead of paying workers that work directly for the post office to ship this product, because the prices are high enough now, we can then offload this to a private carrier. They're not going to get rid of the post office. That is in the Constitution. What they're going to do is they want the post office to raise the prices. If you raise the prices at the post office, then you become competitive with the private sector. You can then say, okay, I am not going to hire postal workers anymore who I have to have good pensions and good wages for them. So instead of paying the $20, $30 or whatever dollars it takes to run the post office, I then give it to a company that is paying people $15 an hour or $8 an hour or $10 an hour to put it out there. And in the process of doing that, brothers and sisters, you see how see what they do. That differential in cost then isn't isn't saving money for the shipper, for meaning you, the person, the Americans. It is taking your money that you increase the price for shipping and giving it to the shareholder of that private company. Not even those people who work for the private company gets better. So everybody gets less money, but the shareholders of the private company, who the Postal Service would now contract to deliver, will make the money. The evilness of this capital structure, if you don't understand the machinations that they go through, the evil within, I express quite a bit of that in my new book too as well. For those newcomers, check out my new book. It's called It's Worth It. And it's talk about how to talk to right-wingers. But the reason I say how to talk to right-wingers is right-wingers are the first ones that buy the crap that these people talk about when they're talking about, we need to privatize the post office. Privatization of the post office is yet another wealth transfer engine. Just like when they talk about these loans, what is the loan? The mortgage loans, the loans where you come on, somebody help me out. When you go ahead and give the bank your house, they give you a stipend, and when you die, the house belongs to the bank. It's another way of taking wealth out of the system. Also, Medicaid is another wealth transfer engine, right? In most states, the way Medicaid work is, okay, I'll pay all your medical bills, but at your death, everything belongs to the bank. Sorry for going off on that tangent, but since I had some of you with the post office, I wanted you to understand that it's not as simple. Reverse mortgage. Thank you, Michael Redden. Reverse mortgage. Thank you, Dimitri. Thank you, Bridge. You have to understand how these things work. It's not, they only show you the facade, but what's going on behind the scenes is what we have to understand. Why I ask everybody to share these programs is that even I have not heard this on MSNBC, CBS, ABC, or any of these. They don't understand the reason why Trump is trying to raise the prices of the UPS, of the post office. The post office, for those that are just got a new batch in, the post office, we have to raise the prices at the post office to make it competitive with the private sector. Remember, the private sector is supposed to be more efficient. That's a lie, okay? It's more expensive, not more efficient. So we raise the prices so that then, remember, postal workers make good money, good living wage money. The people who work for these companies that deliver UPS and all these guys, they don't have that kind of protection that you have working for the post office. So now we transfer that money, in other words, to these private companies. They hire more people at a lower value, lower expense costs, and that differential goes to the shareholder, and you, the person shipping with the United States Post Office, still get stuck with the bill, with the increased price. People, let's not be hoodwinked. Knowledge is power. Get my book. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Okay, I have two more that I got to show you. Nicolle Wallace, this was a great piece about giving us the impetus to go out there and vote. The reason I'm putting it in this segment here is because I like what Halleman had to say. Check this out. Donald Trump is a bully. We know that. He's going to try everything to obstruct the election. We know that. One of the reasons why he's going to do whatever he has to is because Donald Trump knows that more than likely, when he is placed out of office, he's going to jail. There's a very good possibility that that's the case. Let's listen to Nicolle Wallace and her guest.
What if the damage is already done? What if it doesn't matter what Trump ends up doing, but he's already terrified people, he's already incentivized people, and I feel the same way about the mail-in voting. What if he's done all the harm he needed to do to have the impact he wanted to have?
Well, I think, Nicolle, it's going to be impossible to answer whether he's done all the harm. I think the concern is right, and I'll say more about that in 1 second, but the reality is there's still the days between now and Election Day, and more importantly, the days between now and in every given state when their early voting starts, when you can get an absentee ballot, when you could do mail-in ballot. Those are all different dates, obviously, in the 50 states and the territories. But we still have field to play on here, right? So Donald Trump is doing what you're talking about, right? It matters whether he deploys ICE agents to polling places or not. It matters. But the whole point, the Basil used the phrase voter intimidation. Voter intimidation is, in some sense, voter suppression. You put out the word that you might get accosted. You put out the word there's going to be law enforcement, there's going to be ICE agents, there's going to be federal, there's going to be cops, there's going to be who knows what, some special Trump enabled armed polling police, whatever they are, and people start to go, you know what, I'm just not going to deal with that, because you get all you need. People, we have a problem with voter participation in this country generally. You give people excuses not to go because they're afraid, because they think it'll be hard, because they think they'll get accosted, because they think they might have to spend a night in jail, because they think that people are going to question their papers. All of that stuff is designed to keep people from showing up. And then you've got the other side of the pincher movement, which is try to discredit mail-in voting. Try to make both the two ways you could vote. You've already got people worried about showing up at polling places because of the pandemic. Trump puts pressure on that, then tries to discredit mail-in voting, and you are just all across the board trying to drive down participation, trying to drive marginal votes out of the system. That's the other answer to the David Plouffe question, right? Change your win number by pushing down turnout and pushing down the vote. But the great thing is that between now and when the vote happens in any given state, there are still This fight is real. It's now, right? So that's the job for Democrats and for anybody who cares about having a free and fair election in America where everyone who has a right to vote votes. The fight is now. People should be fighting this fight. You got to fight bad information with good information. You got to fight misinformation with true information. And every one of us has a responsibility. Obviously, our leaders have a bigger responsibility, but all of us have a responsibility with everyone if we see in our lives to knock down the lies, knock down the fear, tell people the truth about what voting entails, and make sure that everybody you know gets out to vote, because that is their franchise, and we need those votes if we want to have the kind of election that the country deserves.
And I would just extend that to the way we cover it. I mean, when Trump says what he said last night, it's not covered as a story about what the harm he might do on Election Day. It's the harm he's doing right now, because everybody that hears that and that processes that and has any right.
I mean, it sounds so simple, but it's profound. In other words, all of us have to now become agents. And what she said at the end, I think, was the most important part of the message. The media has to start reporting it accurately. They have to start not waiting till near election time, but reporting it in the now. What he is doing is damaging the electoral process now. Look, the media failed years ago. That's why he's president. The media has been behind for quite a while, but we as well have been behind. The media has been scared to use the word, he is lying. He is lying. It's just now they're comfortable saying it because he has so many not scores of lies, thousands of lies. So they're okay now with saying he is lying. But we the people, there are enough of us who know the truth, instead of disengaging from those who we consider, well, they'll never change or they're just indoctrinated. We have to keep the pressure on, and we have to do it in a manner that connects with these people. There are ways to do that. There are ways to talk to people, to connect to them. But the one thing I always remind folks is that when they go into that voting booth, it's between themselves, the booth, and God. So therefore, allow your mind to work to the people you're talking to. Allow their minds to work. Okay, we're kind of running out of time, so I want to bring Barber in. Barber is saying the Democratic Party has missed a little something, but he's not going to let that continue. Let's go ahead and play that, and I'll be right back.
Did the DNC do enough to offer those voters an alternative vision to Donald Trump?
Well, certainly it was good to talk about jobs, but listen, it is critical, Jonathan, for the DNC to engage poor and low-income voters. It's morally right, it's economically right, and it's numerically right. Since COVID, millions have been added to the already shameful number of 140 million poor and low-wealth people, 43% of this nation, 700 were dying a day before COVID. So the question is, what are you really willing to talk about openly? We hear working, but we don't hear poor. Are you willing to talk about living wages, guaranteed health care, guaranteed sick leave, expanding the Voting Rights Act, stopping the injustice against Latino people and Native people as a first 100-day agenda? We have 74 million women, mostly white, who are poor and low wealth before COVID. 25% of the electorate are poor and low wealth. 61% of all black people are poor and low wealth. Every voter suppression state is a high poverty, lack of living wage state. 15 states, Jonathan, less than 1 to 19% increase in poor and low wealth voters organized around the agenda could change the Senate and presidential races. How can you not say the word poor? How can you not talk about low income specifically? And that is the critical thing that Democrats, I believe, better understand. Dems will say poverty when they're in an audience of poor and low wealth people, but when they get before the world, somehow they can only say working. Well, 62 million working Americans are poor and low income, and many of them have not voted because they have not heard their issues or they have not been talked to.
I have heard you make that argument many times. Why don't politicians, Democrat and Republican, use the word poor?
You're trapped in a neoliberalism vision of the world. If on the Republican side they racialize poverty, on the Democrat side they run for poverty or they use these metaphors. I'm not always sure why. I know I've been told the consultants tell them not to. They tell them poor people don't want to hear the word poor. That is foolishness. If you want to have a massive reckoning and a reconstruction, it requires expanding the electorate and engaging poor and low-income voters. That's where the expansion is. That's where the power is. All the states that Trump won can be changed by organizing the poor. And it doesn't take everybody. It's less than 19%, Jonathan. And one other thing, Jonathan, one of the things I don't understand, and right in September, we are organizing a Voting is Power Unleashed. Hundreds of thousands of poor and low-wealth people are coming together to train ourselves on voter protection and voter participation, because we're not going to be silent anymore. When Democrats refuse to address this, you talked about the Southern strategy. When they refuse to organize and bring poor and low-wealth voters, they guarantee Trump 170 electoral votes out of the South. They leave the door wide open to him because he's not running for the popular vote victory. And by leaving so many poor and low-wealth people off the table by name and by issue, they also get 26 seats guaranteed toward a Republican Senate majority. It makes no sense politically.
It makes absolutely no sense politically. Anyhow, we are at the end of the show, folks. The way to beat Donald Trump, we have all those things working. We have the Republican help right now. We have the post office help right now. We have your help right now. But the major thing is for you to share and make sure people are educated, make sure people are informed. And I'm not saying this in some sort of a presumptuous manner, but I tell you, there are so many forces misinforming. You be the force of sanity using your sphere of influence. There are a lot of people who trust you, and things coming from you, they will more than likely trust. Before I go, I need to go ahead and do my spiel right here real quickly. Folks, please remember that we are a show that requires your support. Please go ahead and consider being a subscriber. Go to politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. That is politicsdoneright.com/Patreon. You can subscribe there, or you can subscribe at PayPal or support us at PayPal by simply going to politicsdoneright.com/PayPal, politicsdoneright.com/PayPal. You can support us at Facebook, given that they are allowing us to take subscriptions there now. You can go to politicsdoneright.com/Facebook. politicsdoneright.com/Facebook, and of course our store, politicsdoneright.com/store, where you can get things like, hey, we have our Politics Done Right cup, and we have cups also that has the squad, and we have t-shirts, and we have books, of course, my books, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom, man. For those who knew I had my weight in the past, my weight problems, all that good stuff. But of course, I'd love for you more than ever before this election time to get the book. It's Worth It, How to Talk to Your Right-Wing Relatives, Friends, and Neighbors. Why? Because that is what we're going to have to do we're going to win, but to win big, because there are quite a few of them that will be able to do so. Anyhow, before I go, I want to engage all my peeps. Oh, please engage the YouTube algorithm and push the like button. Yes, folks, please like the program. If you like the program, more people get access to it. So like on YouTube, on Facebook, everywhere. D. Rabbit White, thank you very much for being here. Let's see who else is here. We have D. Rabbit White. We have Bridge MCP. We have Human Love Solidarity. We have... and if I forget, you just drop your name in again. Michael Rudnin. We also have, let's see, Curtis Jacobs, my brother-in-law. Then we also have, I saw somebody just put something in there. Yes, I'll check it out, Rudnin. Thank you for putting that in there. Let's see, who else do I have in here? Human Love Solidarity. All right. Para ver. We're moving up. You know, I got to tell all you guys hi before I leave. Dimitri OG, welcome aboard. Roberto Luis, mi hermano de Panama, welcome aboard. Dimitri OG, I think I got you already. Let's see who else is there. Rose William, our great copy editor. Bruce Pollard, welcome aboard, Bruce. Norman Reynolds, my Caribbean brother. Let's see. Michael, I got you, Michael. Bob Gentile. Trump 2020, the right vote? I don't think so, brother, but... stay here. You'll learn more. Stay with us, brother. Stay with us. Let's see, who else did I miss? I got Rose. I got Bridge. Nanette Bird Smith, welcome aboard. Para ver. Human Love and Solidarity, I think I got you. Okay, I'm going up the tree. I got the message from the people that say, hey, you got over 100 messages. Oh, Lawrence Sims, welcome aboard. I don't think I called you out, Lawrence. A lot of my regulars are here, too. Let's see. Let's see. Jams the SK, welcome aboard. Norman, I think I got you. Okay, I'm scrolling. Robbie, welcome aboard, Robbie. And Hope Bleeker, welcome aboard. Hope writes, good writing from Hope. Paul Fleming, welcome aboard. Kenneth G. Lark, welcome aboard. Let's see, who else? Lee Grant, welcome aboard. Let's see, I'm almost done. Paul Fleming, I got you. Okay. Well, look, folks, that's the end of the show. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out. Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right.